This is Democracy Now! I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
Well, we end today's show with a closer look at the comeback candidate of Super Tuesday, former Vice President Joe Biden, who won 9 states, including delegate-rich Texas, while the AP reports Bernie Sanders won the largest prize of the night, California.
For more, we go to Toronto, Canada, where we're joined by Branko Marcetic, staff writer at Jacobin Magazine, reporter at In These Times, author of a new book called Yesterday's Man, The Case Against Joe Biden. He may not be yesterday's man after Super Tuesday, Branko. Can you talk about why you wrote a book on Joe Biden and what you think it's most important to understand about him?
Biden very early, when he announced, it was clear he was going to end up being the front runner. Obviously, he was not only the vice president, sort of traditional passing the torch from the previous popular president, and that he was inheriting that popular support, but also he was a guy similar to Clinton in 2016 who has a lot of intra-party support. I felt if people are going to vote, they should probably be aware of his record, particularly African-American voters, who I argue in the books Biden has really systematically betrayed, even though he's gained their support, year after year, election after election. I think the main thing that people need to know about Biden is his approach to politics, which is very much based on his 1978 re-election campaign, which came at the sort of conservative shift in U.S. politics. Is based on appeasing the right and sort of taking the platform of his Republican opponent and trying to make it his own and kind of siphon away support like that. And that's really been the case in every election and really how he's governed. So that's why in the 80s and the 90s you see Biden going actually further on the tough on crime and tough on drugs messaging than even Reagan and Bush were calling for. Biden was constantly saying that they were not going far enough. He was pushing for a drug czar when Reagan and even Rudy Giuliani, if you can imagine it, was saying such an idea was insane. Pushing for expansion of civil forfeiture and that kind of thing. And in the 90s, you see him, even though he says in 1995, he claims, I'm close to retiring, but the thing that has made me stay in the race is I want to defeat these guys. I want to defeat the Gingrich Republicans that came in 94. These guys are terrible. And what does he do? In 1996, he passes welfare reform, which was defined by Senate Republican Majority Leader Trent Lott as the, quote, holy grail of the GOP's legislative agenda. Welfare kind of disappears really across the South and the Southwest United States as conservative governors use that welfare reform to basically just use the money to plug up their own budgets. He passes NAFTA. He repeals Glass-Steagall. He partners with Clinton to try and cut spending and to cut the federal bureaucracy. Spending and federal employment goes down to pre-1960s levels, even to levels before Roosevelt took power. And this is really the way it's always been. Part of the reason why he ended up being the architect, the Democratic architect of the Iraq War was he was worried about an election. He was worried about being challenged from the right in 2002 by an opponent who could rival him in fundraising. And his safe bet was to sort of go and support the Iraq War, which a lot of African Americans did not support. And in fact, Biden, talking to a group of African American columnists shortly, a month after voting for the war, and this is a classic Biden thing, is he votes for something and he says to this mostly black audience, he says, well, I think actually the war is a terrible idea and I don't want it. I don't think it's going to happen. Saddam and Al-Qaeda are not in cahoots at all. That's ridiculous.
We have 10 seconds.
When, of course, he had been saying the exact opposite before. So this is, as the Republican Party gets more and more extreme to the right, having Biden as president and even going up against Trump is a real worry.
Well, we're going to do part 2, post online at democracynow.org. Branko Marcetic is staff writer at Jacobin Magazine, In These Times reporter. His new book, Yesterday's Man, The Case Against Joe Biden. And that does it for our show. If you'd like to see our 5-hour Super Tuesday broadcast, go to democracynow.org. We have a number of job openings here in our New York studio, from our newsroom to outreach and development. Information application deadlines at democracynow.org. Democracy Now! Is produced by Mike Burke, Dina Guzder, Nermin Sheikh, Carla Wills, Tammy Warrenoff, Libby Rainey, Sam Alcoff, John Hamilton, Robbie Karen, Honey Masood, Trina Durek, Tay Marie Astudio, Julie Crosby. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Thanks so much for joining us.